What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we here once again on another Sunday. It is the Sunday morning power hour. Now, last Sunday, I know many of you was emailing me, say, "Hey, Phil, what happened with you and Sister Vicki? You didn't put up Sunday morning power hour." Well, it got crossed up in some scheduling. It's more so my issue. It wasn't hers. So it happens that way. But we're here today. So we're going to pick up where we left off the last one, last Sunday. Well, two Sundays ago now, Vicki, correct?
Yes, sir. You got it.
All right, 2 Sundays ago. And but before we get involved with that, you know the title, you see what it is. Vicki, how has your week been going?
Oh, my goodness. Power packed. Thank you so much for asking. So much going on in the world, in Black media. So we certainly have our plates full, and it's a good thing. You know, it's a good thing for us, all kind of wonderful stories to cover about our Black agenda, you know?
Yes, that's very, very important. And the beautiful thing that I'm seeing, Sister Vicki, is that finally the course has switched. And what I mean by that is we're controlling the narratives now. Now you're hearing the mainstream media parrot what we say. We're not parroting what they say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We control the narrative. And folks better start taking notes. They better start paying attention. They better start taking notes. And the beautiful thing is, dear brother, it's happening from the Black grassroots up. You know, it's happening. I say this all the time on my show. I said, in this season, the wisdom is coming from the streets. You know what I mean? And what I mean by the streets is not only maybe the literal streets, but in terms of the places that have been demeaned and the least respected. This is where the leadership is coming from. This is where the movement is coming from. And so that's what's so exciting.
It really is. And more people are learning. They're opening their eyes to different things, even so much so that you see people in the mainstream trying to, pat each other on the back, say, oh, no, this organization came up with the conversation. And it's so easy to bust them out. It's just really awesome. And people are learning so much that their minds are being quickened. The deceptive tactics are not working anymore. And the, mainstream media don't know what to do. They're going to a pay model now because they can't afford to be open unless you pay. So it's good effects that's happening here.
Absolutely.
So, Sister Vicki, last time we went through this, and we'll be starting back off on family.
Family, okay? Yes.
And family is one of the things that we are having a lot of issues within the Black community. Mm-hmm. And so, Vicki, if you could read that for everyone that's listening about family.
Absolutely. The family. That was number 6 of the 10 precepts of American slavery jurisprudence, just as a reminder. That is number 6, family. Recognize no rights of the Black family. Destroy the unity of the Black family. Deny slaves the right of marriage. Demean and degrade Black women, Black men, Black parents, and Black children, and then condemn them for their conduct and state of mind. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
So Sister Vicki, let me ask you a question. How do you see that playing out in 2019?
Oh, my goodness. In so many ways. First of all, we have to remember that the family, particularly the Black family, is the nucleus. It's what makes possible ultimately a strong nation. We know one cannot have a strong nation if it's not started first with a strong marriage, a strong family, right? Then a strong neighborhoods, then you have strong communities, then you have strong counties, you have strong states, and then ultimately a strong nation. But it comes all the way down to, as the foundation, strong Black marriages and strong families. That is absolutely central, and it's what everything else is built upon in order to make a powerful and strong society. So important.
Yeah, Sister Vicki, family is definitely the nucleus of any country, any community. And if you
Yes.
break apart family, you break apart society, you break apart a country, you literally can break apart the world. So the reason why, I'm looking at too, why they wanted to keep the family, destroyed, because they know that at least with us, that when we get together as a group or even just as a family, we make a lot of power moves. We're not originally individualized people.
Come
Now,
on.
see, white folks can operate like that, but then they don't operate like that because that's why they have white supremacy. They
Huh.
get together and they operate in one unit against us. Now, white folks are extremely divided. Don't think they together, but
Come
they
on.
are together on our destruction. That's what they are together on. Those who promote white supremacy. But if you look at it, they say recognize no rights of the black family. I mean, they don't even want to show you on TV no more.
Come on now.
You
Come on
understand?
now. Come
I
on.
mean, you would think that if you pay attention to television, that black families do not exist at all. I mean,
Wow.
this is something they're pushing. So now you're talking about destroying the unity of the black family. Well,
Yes.
let's keep a lot of back and forth going between black men and black women. Because if black women and black men hate each other, then guess what? They're
Come
not
on.
going to form a family. See, they don't have no problem with us having sex with each other, making a bunch of illegitimate children. I'm going to just be old school today. All right?
Yes, sir.
They have no problem with that. This is why we have a 74% single parenting rate in our black community now. I mean, it's, and I've heard now it's went up even higher. I think, is it close to 80% now? I think I
The
heard.
last,
What is it?
thereabout. I don't remember the last statistics, but I know it's extraordinarily high.
I know it's not good that we're
No.
not forming families. So we have a bunch of children without a mother and a father.
Father.
And then when you bring up this topic, Sister Vicki, what happens is blame game. Nobody
Right.
wants to take responsibility for their sex life.
That's
Nobody.
right. That's right.
So the man to say, where's her? Then the women to say it's him. And then you have a section of women, most of them shea butter Twitter.
Come on.
They don't take responsibility for their sex life so much. They say it's black men, and they have this hatred because they have a child. So a lot of them, I'm finding out, have children. Didn't pick the right man. Okay. I even did a podcast giving women the details how you can pick a right man. Kind of like how a father would talk to a daughter. Because I really believe a lot of women just don't know how to pick men. I just
Sure.
really believe that. And a lot of men don't know how to pick women either. I mean, it goes on both sides. But it's actually having a detriment to our community.
Come on.
Now, they talked about also not only, you say, demeaning the right of marriage. Now, of course, a lot of us don't want to get married no more. Now, you look at what Sister Vicki, maybe, our grandmother's time, they wanted to get married. That was like, you were
Right.
married 30, 40, and 50 years. And
Sure.
it was no problem.
That's
But at
right.
the same time, me and my wife was talking about that this morning, how a lot of times them old people, the old man would have side chicks on the other side of town with a whole family. That was interesting to me. They have a
Wow.
whole family on the other side of town, and the only thing they say is you better bring all the money to this house, you better provide for this house, and I better
Wow.
not hear about it.
Wow.
And they stayed in families with a guy that had a side chick,
Wow. Wow.
just to keep their families together back in that time period. I'm not
Right.
advocating people to cheat and stay together. That's not what I'm advocating, but the family was just that important to them to say, wait a minute, do we need to keep this family together?
Wow. Wow.
And I'm pretty sure maybe if you talk to your mom, she'll tell you.
Absolutely. Oh yes, yes. It's I'm from Mississippi, so it's not that idea of that happening in certain families in situations was unknown to me. So no, I definitely have remember hearing about such things. But again, much of this is conditioning. Once again, even from slavery, it has its tentacles, even from slavery. And don't forget that the man was taught to be a breeder. He was taught, the black man in particular was taught to be a breeder. He was taught to just impregnate, leave, impregnate, leave and go, leave and go, leave and go, leave. And so that was what his conditioning is. And unfortunately, that's in some of our epigenetics or some of our makeup that we're finding, unfortunately, today. And when those things happen in that manner, you begin to play out behaviors and you don't even understand or realize where they originate from. But when we do even a cursory read, take a cursory look at history, we find out that that's precisely what the black man was trained to do was to be a breeder. And unfortunately, we're still seeing some of those behaviors play out today without taking care of their children and their family. And I want to just give one other example too. And I might have mentioned this before. Even we see this today when it comes down to even state resources. You know, if a woman knows that she's raising children and she goes in to the county or something for assistance, one of the things that they would sometimes put over the woman's head if she has children is, hey, if you want this assistance, you make sure that the man is not found in this house. The man cannot be in this home. You understand what I'm saying? So it's even the arm of a government that incentivizes the separation of families. They say, I will give you these resources, but only if you don't have a man in this household. I find it very interesting, and it goes right to this point 6 about the family and the destruction, particularly where it says here to destroy the unity of the black family in a modern day context.
Yes, and that destruction also, you're talking about the man not being in the household, is that this government, like you say, incentivize people just to have children. Because if you look at African nations, if you have a kid, you're on your own. You're not getting no food. You're not getting nothing for that kid. You're not getting no Medicaid. You're not getting nothing. You're on your own. So when you know you're on your own, in the back of your mind, you would think, wait a minute, I'm not trying to just have some kids with any old body, because I'm not about to be stuck with this kid with no food, no diapers, no nothing.
And that's right.
So they hold you up maybe just a little bit. Now here, you know, we can just make children and our tax dollars take care of it. You know, and this you know, society doing that, I don't agree with that. I believe the reins should be pulled, but the only reason we get that is because white women benefit more off that system than black women do. So unfortunately, that's going to hurt us a lot more. It's going to hurt them because, like you said, their men don't have the legacy of slavery like our men do. I mean, you literally had black men in breeding farms. Yes. Okay. I mean, these black men, all they would do all day is have sex with slave women, so the hopes of them getting pregnant. Okay. I mean, this is reality. The big, strong, you know, slave.
So true. Yeah. So true, Brother Phil. Excellent point.
And, you know, they said to degrade the black woman, the black man, black parents, and black children. And they do that constantly. You know, we just, you know, heard about, you know, not only degrade, but murder, because we just heard that Stephen Clark, you know, the cops that killed Stephen Clark.
Yes.
No charges. No charges.
No charges.
And how many times have they killed people in black families and just totally decimated a family? Now, you know, Stephen Clark had a kid. He had, you know, kids. And I know I don't agree with a lot of his comments that he made about black women, but at the end of the day, the young brother could have turned his life around. Sure. He could grow up and say, hey, man, that was so stupid for me to say that crap. You don't know how somebody could turn somebody, you know, their life around. But the fact is, you took that young brother away from his mother, his father, just broke up a whole family.
Yes,
and this system is so deputized to destroy black families. Remember when black people had the crack epidemic, right? They had no problem destroying our families. No problem.
Intentional.
But when white folks have an opioid crisis, Sister Vicki, oh, we can't break up families. We can't do this. Oh, but it was okay to destroy our families. Yes. But that's written in the DNA of this country.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. And of course, again, this was intentional. This again goes back to what you're saying. And this is with the U.S. government involved in the direct and deliberate and intentional destruction of black families. We know, and we were able to prove in no limit of time, that the order came down all the way from the White House, worked its way through CIA to infiltrate our neighborhoods with heroin, with crack cocaine. This is not just conspiracy theory. We're able to prove these things. So that was intentional, to break up and to destroy individually, just like it says here, black women, black men, black parents, and black children. That's precisely what it's doing. And as we mentioned before, they're talking about this crisis on the border with immigrants, and our hearts go out to them, no doubt. But black families have been separated. Black families have been intentionally destroyed for so many years, and it's still, unfortunately, happening today based on policies, American policies, that have helped to destroy black families, for sure.
And that's what makes a case for reparations as well, because if you destroy a family, you kill a husband, you kill a wife or a child, or you incarcerate them for nonviolent offenses. You make up policies to hurt the black family, right?
Yes.
Then how is it can we get ahead as a family? I mean, even studies proven that families that's together do better, financially, psychologically. I mean, in the area just of morality, everything is better when you have versus a single parent household. And most single parent households are relegated to poverty.
That's right.
That are women led. Sure, they got some women that's kicking butt out here and taking names, and that's great. But that's not everybody.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And statistics again shows that. But one of the greatest benefits, of course, to having the father and the mother in the house is you get to shape the minds of your children. You get to shape them to build strong nations. You get to teach them who they are. You get to fill their minds with freedom-loving history and with righteousness. And that's a direct connection and a direct line of influence that no other area of human activity will allow you to do except in the home. That's also, of course, one of the greatest advantages. Moreover, you get to live this thing out, life, and show them about marriage and show them about manners and show them about interactions. This is the best place to do that, in the home, and by the institution of marriage. And so I think that that's one of the greatest benefits also of having a strong marriages, and because you get to model the nation you would like to be right before your children. I think that's so important.
Yes, it is. And even, like I said, degrading, each other, the men and the women. A lot of us follow everything white mommy and white daddy do. So we will say the most horrible things about each other. The men saying things about the women saying things about the men. But if you look at, other races of people who wasn't subjected to this kind of, evil, right? They don't trash their people like we trash ours.
That's right.
I've looked for it. Yeah, they got some that's doing it here and there, but we are the loudest voices saying black women are crap, or we the loudest voices saying black men are crap. And we say it in a general sense. We don't say like this particular woman or this particular man. No, we want to, they do one thing to us. See, that's why I can't stand black women, or that's why I can't stand black men. We quickly do that. And I'm like, why us? But then you read things like this about this is done by design.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. And one of the things you said that was interesting is we're the loudest with it. Like you said, every now and then you may hear, people of other ethnicities and people groups that may, they're random. They're the exception. They're not the rule. And with our community, unfortunately, you see that they tend to use their large platforms to denigrate Black women, to make fun of Black women, or if it's a woman, sometimes maybe go too far in the criticism of our men, showing so much disunity. And I believe that we should be held accountable. Don't get me wrong, that's so important. But I believe it's also important to recognize that we are at war, and there is a micro and a macro agenda that's being worked out, and we have to recognize that that's taking place at the same time. So we have to be more circumspect in how we are moving about in the world.
Yeah, let me give you an example. They just had this, I forgot the name of this man. I don't know if you just saw the video where he grabbed his wife by a hat and threw her on the ground. You seen that video?
About the man,
the white man.
Yes, he threw a white woman on the ground.
Yeah, his wife or whatever. What's that man's name?
I don't recall.
Okay, but see, I seen that video and they are like, oh my God, I see doing this. But now I want you to watch the coverage of this. Now, white folks, they'll talk about it here and there, but it's gonna be quiet.
Real quick.
But I guarantee you, if that was LeBron James or any other black man, it could be just any black man, did the exact same things to his wife.
Come on.
Which none of us would support.
Right.
Black folks would be the loudest and say, see how black men are, black men this and black men that. And then what happens is white folks jump in with the criticism, and we sit there and allow them to destroy a black man, or if it was a woman, we allow them to come destroy. Well, now, black men are the enemy, but you know that when it comes to them, but that's another conversation. But we always allowing others to come in versus when it's them, they don't allow that. See, that white woman, she complain on that white man, she do, but she goes so far with it. She keep her
That's
mouth
right.
shut. She's
That's
not
right.
like, I'm not to break up my white family. Yeah, I want more, percentage of this white supremacy thing that we got going on here, but I'm not going to destroy my white man in the process because my white
Right.
man, gives me what I need. But versus our community, we'll go so hard in the paint. Especially that's why I say I can't stand Shea Butter Twitter. I can't stand them. I mean, they
Yeah.
are like I can't. I've seen what they're about now, and
It's a
they will
shame.
do anything they can to
Woo.
join with these white feminists to destroy black men. If you destroy black men, then what's going to happen with your community?
That is just absolutely amazing. And you know why, though? Because the white woman understands that she benefits and she has historically benefited from white supremacy. Don't forget that some of the foundresses of the suffrage movement, which we're talking about, the white feminist movement, right? Don't forget, one of the things that they were very clear on is they were fighting against the amendment for rights for black people. Remember, and they were even on record as saying how white supremacy would be strengthened by giving them the right to vote. That's a matter of record. So they understand the importance of keeping their little families, the institution of marriage is called. They understand the importance of keeping that institution intact. You understand what I'm saying? They understand the long game of it all. And even if we just look at this movie, and I don't even remember all the details of the movie, but watching Get Out and that whole principle of, that movie about, of course, racism and so forth, as much as a white chick who was in love with the black guy in the beginning, at the end, who did she cape for? She caped for white supremacy, did she not?
Right.
And at the end of the day, that is what it's about. And that is because they recognize that they have benefited historically from it and they currently benefit from it today.
Yes, and they understand family. That's why they want to, and that's why they're freaking out, about, abortion. Because see, the thing is, you got Trump in there, and Trump and his crowd trying to get rid of a Planned Parenthood and abortion because they understand that abortion is destroying their family.
Exactly.
Right? But unlike us, we're so trained to abort, our children. The men encourage it too. Not all, but some of them do encourage women to do this. I know they do.
That's right.
And
Yes,
women,
they do.
just believe this mess from a feminist. This is my body. I can do what I want, and this and the third. And we never had that mindset when it came to us. Like, okay, we have a child. We just have it, and then that's, hey, the family help us take care of it, etc.
Yes,
I feel
sir.
it's so detrimental to the black family. Like, we would be 60 plus million black people in this country right now if it wouldn't be for us getting around white folks and allowing them to spit into the ear of black women and making them feel it's okay to abort our children.
Absolutely.
And people get mad when we say things like this, but I say it because I care what's happening.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Beautiful.
Let's move on to education and culture, because I want to focus on this a little bit. It's
Yes,
they deny
sir.
blacks any education, deny them knowledge of their culture, and make it a crime to teach those who are slaves how to read or to write. Now, of course, they amended part of this, and I want to
Yes.
talk about the amending of this.
Okay.
Now, Sister Vicki, denying blacks any education. Now, at one point in time, they did deny it. But see, white supremacy always reforms itself, okay? So they say, okay, well, these Negroes are getting education, fine. We are going to be the people that teach them if we're going to give them education. We're going to make sure 75% of the teachers in America are white women. We're going to make
Come on
sure of
now.
that. So our
Yes.
white women could be looked at as a nurturer that teaches them, and they can always reverence the white woman as a teacher of black people.
Come on.
Okay? We're not going to
Yes,
teach
sir.
them the true history. Like, we still going to deny them a knowledge of their culture. All we're going to let them know is they were slaves. That's it. And then we're going to
Yes.
talk about George Washington Carver. We're going to talk about Martin Luther King in a watered down, passive way. Okay?
Come on.
And then we're going to have the black people we want educated by us. I mean, it's very, very sinister.
That's exactly right. And with such a large number of white women teaching our babies, which, let's just be clear, this is our open enemies, having access to our most precious resources, and that is our Black babies' minds. To have, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this, of course, that great founder of the Nation of Islam and that great teacher of Minister Farrakhan, he makes it known that it is terrible, it's horrible for Black folks to have their babies, their children, being taught by their open enemy. And we're finding that that's exactly what's happening today. With such a large number of white women, these are the same ones that are referring our Black babies for medicines, right? Psychotropic medicines and so forth. These are the same ones that are saying that something is wrong with our children because they're incapable of understanding them. They're incapable of properly teaching them. So number one, this is another way that drugs are able to enter into our babies' systems to affect their brains, to affect their makeup. The other thing too, we're finding and shout out to you, by the way, I saw a couple of clips. I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but I saw quite a bit of a couple of the ones that you did. You have been going in on these white teachers, in particular. Every now and then it'll be a sister, but for the most part, it has been so many white women that are predators in these schools, sleeping, with young boys. That is a shame, and it's primarily, again, every now and then you'll see another person do this, but mostly it's white women that are preying upon the babies and the children in these schools. That's a shame, Brother Phil.
It is a shame. And yes, I've covered many stories over the years. Like I said, the majority of them are white women. I've seen a Mexican teacher here and there, a Black teacher here and there. But we're talking about like the norm is being Caucasian women who have been doing this. Yes, some men, but mostly Caucasian women, to the point that it is an epidemic to be doing, and they doing some shameful things. They're having sex with students in the classroom. Like the one I just covered had sex with a student in the classroom in front of the friend. They go into their houses in the middle of the night, or they bringing these boys to their home. And a lot of times these women are married with children. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And these are the people that's teaching our children. On top of that, then you got race soldiers in the school running around.
Come on.
And any little thing that a Black child do, here we go with that school to prison pipeline. See, they put the Black children in these schools, have these race soldiers, and what's the first thing they do? Give these Black children criminal charges.
Yes.
While they're juveniles, to ruin, especially our Black boys, chances in the future. You get that boy, in the system, then the way it works, he's going to possibly be back into the system as an adult. And they always want to put a felony charge on a Black male, because what does it do to you, Sister Vicki? The two important things it do to you when you get a felony. What happens?
Well, the main thing is it allows folks to legally discriminate against you. You're not able to vote. Mm-hmm. And when I say legally discriminate, I'm saying that even if you had your own, you're going out looking for a place to live, what do? Background checks. So often there's a large, so many areas where you're not able to live. You're not able to access certain resources. Some folks are not even able to access, if they chose to get out school loans, which, I don't always advocate that, but I'm saying in the event that they wanted to do that to better their lives, they're cut off from so many resources to better their own lives. I just think that it's a shame. And then, of course, again, the voting plays a big part in that. So it deals with your power, it deals with economics. When they label you, that when you get that, as they would call it, that scarlet letter, when you're branded, in that way, unfortunately, it opens the door for all types of forms of legalized discrimination. And that's a shame. And
you can't practice your Second Amendment rights when you get felonies, for the most part.
Come on.
You're right. And you definitely need your Second Amendment rights. And you can get a passport, having a felony, but some countries won't let you in having a felony on your record.
See?
You know what I'm saying? So they always want to try to, put that on the young Black man, try to ruin, and of course, Black women as well, but the young Black man to ruin his chances in society. Okay.
Yes.
Now, we also see that now they say that teaching the slaves how to read and write. And, we look at, it's not so popular in our community to get educated, to read and do, write books or whatever. We focus more on, entertainment, sports,
yes,
etc. Like right now, I heard it is a shortage of black male doctors in the United States of America. That is a shame.
yes.
That is a shame. Where is our black young men want to be physicians? And then they say they make it hard for them to get in to medical school.
Come on now.
So we need to focus on some other things. I mean, LeBron James and NBA is great, and that's fine. But we need more brothers to take on the medical profession too.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have to remember this too, that knowledge, the reason why, and one of the things it says, I'm looking at this, it was saying about denying any education, deny them knowledge of their culture. You know why? You know why that's so important? It's a part of one of the 10 points where it specifically says, deny them of the knowledge of their culture. You know why? Because knowing the truth of our culture, knowing true history is to expose the lie of white supremacy. Because knowing true history will reveal to us that who are the mothers and fathers of civilization? Black men and black women. Who are the mothers and fathers of mathematics, of philosophy, of the sciences, of the medicines, of religious ideas and practices? We are the mothers and fathers of civilization. We are the ones, when they didn't come get slaves, they came and got builders. We're the ones who built the White House and the Capitol and the layout of Washington, D.C. We're the ones that are responsible for such a large number of the inventions that they enjoy today, including the internet and so much more. So this is another reason why they deny us the truth of history, because it would reveal that we are the originators of so many things, number one, that they take credit for. And number two, it would expose against the lie of white supremacy. And moreover, when you know what you're capable of doing, that in and of itself activates something in you to become it. And that makes you what? A threat to status quo. That makes you a threat, what? To the present day white supremacy. Because when you come into the knowledge of who you are, you begin to start to do for yourself, and you will undermine and even undo the oppressive systems that are in place today when you have the knowledge of who you are, what you're capable of doing as well. I think that's another big reason why they specifically say, deny them the knowledge of their culture.
That's right, because once you come into that knowledge of self, I mean, there's nothing they could tell you at that point. Nothing. Because they give you an identity, right? They give it to you. So once you understand how that identity is just not you, and you find out who you really are, you detached. So they're like, oh, shoot. It's like,
wow.
This one here, this troublemaker, No, it's not a troublemaker. It's just the fact is, I'm not following the lie that you gave me from the pit of hell. I find out who I really am. And who I really am is really above who you are, and definitely some little thing that you tried to give me. That's why I feel actually saddened when I see certain people. I was watching Diamond and Silk. Oh, boy. I was watching Diamond and Silk.
The minstrel show?
Oh, the minstrel show. They was at CPAC, okay? That conservative, do you see them? And I got to sit back and I was watching Diamond and Silk, and I'm like, listen, sisters, come on. Like, they're really doing a mammy and a kind of mammy kind of situation, right? And we know the mammy character came from, the minstrel shows, right?
That's right.
And I'm sitting here watching these sisters, and I'm like, come on. I'm looking at Diamond and Silk. I know they have intelligence. I know. You can't tell me they don't. It's something about them I can realize I don't know what they got going on. It could be, do they really believe that? Or are they hustling to get money? But even if you're hustling to get money, you don't want to do it that way.
What I'm saying? You said you don't want to do it that way.
You don't want to do it that way. Because I'm watching Diamond and Silk, and I'm watching, which one is Diamond? Isn't the one with the glasses? Which one is Diamond? I don't even remember.
I don't even know which is which.
Well, the sister with the glasses, she doing her thing, and the other one is just, I'm like, oh my God. I'm sitting there shaking my head. I'm like, the worst stereotype ever. They put a black woman. You want to do that. You're loud. You're doing the little head shaking. And I'm like, what frustrates me, and Sister Vicki, you have to explain this to me. How come black women aren't calling them out? Because they're making black women look horrible on a national stage. Because if it was a black man doing that, boy, we'll never hear the end of it.
Right. Well, I feel black women calling them out, but they don't do it in a strong enough way, meaning they make fun of it. When they retweet stuff from Diamond and Silk, when they retweet things, it's more of a joking way. And I think that because their minstrelsy is so extreme, and I think a lot of folks think that it is so obvious that they're such a joke that folks don't actually they don't expend the intellectual energy to even do like a show, you know what I mean, or to seriously criticize them, even though, in all fairness, they are to some degree doing some damage. Don't forget, they made their way to the White House the other day. I don't know if you realize that too. Did you see that the other day? They were there with the president, with Trump, who they got out the president.
Yeah, I seen the picture with them and Trump. I did see that.
Yes, sir. So they made their way to the White House. Don't forget that they've been rewarded now with this little, I guess their weekly podcast or their weekly show that they do, where they were doing this bebop. I don't know. Did you see that bebop portion that they did? My name is Silk. My name is Simba, and then the other one is doing the doing the beat. It was, oh my gosh, brother Phil, it was beyond the pale. And I think that when black folks and black women in particular see such extreme cooning, for lack of a better word, I think that folks think it's so obvious, and they don't even take them seriously, enough to take the time to call them out on it. But certainly on our show, when I've done shows on minstrels and so forth, I've called out different types and different ones, but they are certainly under the umbrella there, and it's certainly room for more criticism. But I think that that's probably the biggest. And then too, because Trump has so attached himself to him, because remember, one of the ways they got their start, they attended one of his rallies. I think it's how it first got started, when he called them out or something at a rally, and they kind of took off from there. And I think that because of their connection to Trump, and and so many lies and so much foolishness is connected to him, that I think again that folks just don't even expend the intellectual energy to properly criticize them, which they are certainly deserving of. But it's unfortunate. It is certainly unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate, because I just, like I said, I guess I got to tell people, as I'm getting older, I'm seeing just certain things a little bit more than what I used to. And I actually feel bad for them. I really do, because I look at it in the bigger picture. Coonan doesn't have a retirement plan, and they're gonna throw them away. They always do it to all coons. They throw them away, and then when it happens, like Candace Owens, she's on her way out too. She's trying to reel herself back in.
Her people, they're trying to push her out right now.
Yeah, they are.
Supporters.
They are. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and she used that CPAC too, run off at the mouth, talking about she was never a slave and all that other mess, because, but what I'm getting at by mentioning those names, that's the kind of black people that they want and they create. Those kind of black people. They don't want black people to speak up and call them out for what they're doing.
Absolutely. 100%.
So, Sister Vicki, let's go to the next one, religion. Oh, that's the big one.
Oh, Lord.
White Jesus. Read
Oh, my gosh. Religion. Recognize no rights of slaves to define and practice their own religion, to choose their own religious leaders, or to worship with other blacks. Encourage them to adopt the religion of the white master, and teach them that God is white and will reward the slave who obeys the commands of his white master here on earth. Use religion to justify the slave status on earth. Oh my goodness. Oh, my
Sister
God.
Vicki, tell the class what that means.
Oh my, this is packed with so much. Number one, recognize the rights of slaves to define and practice their own religion. Let me tell you how powerful and important that part is. And let's use as an example Haiti. When Haiti beat the brakes off of the greatest warrior that they had known at the time, Napoleon, and sent him packing, and their weapons were not, quote unquote, as sophisticated, and they didn't have as many soldiers, and their army was not as large, what did they do? They tapped into the spirit realm. They tapped into the black spiritual arts. They consulted with the spiritualists of the day. They consulted with those that were tapped into the unseen realm before they engaged in successful. I said before they engaged in successful guerrilla warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why they trade us also. Don't forget, it also says here what? And give them what? Give us their what? Their white master. Encourage them to adopt the religion of their white master. You know why? Because their white master is a powerless master. It's a powerless religion. That stringy head, blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus, they know it's a lie. He's a lie. So that is a powerless religion. So they want to divert us from our spiritual practices of the one true God and the what we were practicing long before this Johnny come lately made its way on planet Earth. They want to trade us. They want us to trade our religion, our spiritual practices, with this lie of a white Jesus so that we will remain ineffective. That is so powerful to me. And I think this is another reason that we are in the condition that we're in. This has been one of the most effective tools. Religion has been one of the most effective tools of white supremacy. Why? Because they know that the black man and the black woman are the most spiritual people on the planet. Every now and then you'll see a little rare atheist claiming that there are atheists out there. But whether you are Muslim, whether you are Hindu, whether you are Christian, whether you are Buddhist, whether you are whatever, a Hebrew Israelite, you know, whether you are considered to be a black Jew, whether you go by that title or not, or the technical title of being a Hebrew, the point is they know that by and large, we believe in a greater power than ourselves. So what better way than to connect that essence about us, that spiritual part of us, to God, and say, and because that connect, when you do that, you have to submit to the will of God, right? When you think about the deity, you submit to that deity. What better way than to propagate the lie of white supremacy than to connect it to religion, and you connect God with that, and then we're thinking it's the will of God, and then you turn around and do what? Submit to that God.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I know
ma'am.
that was a mouthful.
Well, like I said, they didn't want to recognize slaves to define and practice their own religion. But it goes back to culture. You have to understand who our culture is to find out what our religion is. And that was the perfect way to cut us off from our religion. Now we living in the age of knowledge in the last days, right, where knowledge will increase. So a lot of us are starting to find out the truth of the scriptures themselves, and find out how they took out books of the Bible. How they, misinterpreted the Bible, how, by this white Jesus. I would say 20 years ago, you would never hear black people openly say white Jesus.
That's right.
Because now the truth is out about that Caesar Borgia, whatever his name is. He took that image. I think it was the image of his son, actually, that he took and made that white Jesus portrait, right? And white Jesus is the God of white supremacy. Now, it is an idol. It is, like you said, a powerless God. And you see that it's stated that they say you had to make sure and tell the slaves God is white. Why do you do that? Because if God is white, then you're going to look at white people as God as well. So when they shoot your kid down 30 times, you can go in court and say, I forgive them. But when a black person does you something, you want to take the head off. Why? Because you don't look at black people as God. You look at them as God. You understand what I'm saying? Sir. I mean, it gets real deep. We always forgiving the most horrible things because we look at, and I'm not me, but a lot of black folks look at white folks as God. They don't look at the Father of heaven and earth. Even in the scriptures teach you that Jesus himself had woolly hair and skin like burnt bronze. It's in the Bible. Yes. Okay. And then when you challenge people on that, who walk around this white Jesus, well, why does the color matter? That's exactly what we needed to ask these white supremacists. Why did the color matter? It mattered because you're trying to change God white. And they took that white Jesus and went to every country. They perverted the scriptures that we wrote. Okay. When I went to Ethiopia, I got the history of all that. We wrote in the many books of the Bible, us. Okay. You had what, 84 books, I think, of the Bible or so. Book of Enoch will even predates, I think Genesis, if I'm not mistaken. And the thing is, that is the books that we wrote. We civilized them. They took religion from us. When they came in to Africa, you know, later on, they tried to give that religion and say, hey, wait a minute, like in Ethiopia, say, we don't need that here. They said, we already knew about that. They say, you can go on with that. But that's how they conquered all these different places. So when I tell people, when I see a white Jesus in your church, I'm going to walk out. Don't invite me. And they ask me, well, why are you leaving, brother? I said, you have an idol in this church. And in the 10 Commandments it teach, do not worship any idols. So I cannot be around that. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. Okay?
That's right.
People today, and this is another thing that bothers me when it comes to religion. Some black folks are so ingrained into believing, Sister Vicki, that the Bible and even, I would say being a servant of God, I don't like the word Christianity, is the white man's religion. That they will tell you that I don't want to be part of no white man's religion. If you knew your history, you know he didn't create not a single religion. He didn't.
Come on.
So why you keep attesting the scriptures to the white man?
My.
And one more thing real quick. Now, it says to choose their own religious leaders. Notice how they choose the religious leaders, and all of them come out with what, Sister Vicki? Well, you know, we can't be like that. I know they was this way, but we got to be better than that. We have to have this super morality thing that no one else have.
Yes.
We got to forgive tragedy. We can't be pissed off. We got to be like white Jesus. I mean, it's, you know, you can go forever with that.
Your point is so well taken about how to choose their own religious leaders, recognize no rights of slaves to define and practice their own religion, to choose their own religious leaders. You know why? And let me give you a modern day example. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They don't want us to be connected with that particular religious leader. Why? Does he teach hate? No. Is he known for any crazy sexual scandals? Is he known for pedophilia throughout the church like the Catholic Church is known to? No. Has he committed any murders or anything like that? No. They are upset because he teaches folks who they really are, teach individuals who the real God is and who the real devil is. He teaches and empowers folk to know the difference between truth and falsehood. And this is why they want to pick our leaders. This is why they don't want us, because if they get to pick our leaders, they're only going to let us pick folk that was doing what our dear brother was doing in the movie, Nat Turner. That depiction, I think, is very telling. When he was first reading the scriptures, how was he using the scriptures? The scriptures were being used to make us comfortable in slavery, comfortable in our oppression, make us docile, and to suppress the resistance spirit in us against oppression and white supremacy. But when you have a religious leader that is filled with the true spirit of God, that have a true understanding of the scriptures, to know that when you're reading about David, you're not reading about David, you're reading about yourself. When you are reading, about Esther, you're not reading about Esther, you're reading about yourself. The question is, who is your Goliath today? The question is, who is the Pharaoh today? You understand what I'm saying? So when you have a religious leader that can make the scriptures relevant, and you can be about the business of manifesting the will of God on earth as it is in heaven right now. You understand? You have a religious leader that doesn't teach you that heaven is 1,000 years away and someplace up in the sky, and your slave masters tell you to build just trust that when you die slave, you'll go to heaven. But meanwhile, build my heaven on earth. You understand what I'm saying? Right. See, when you have a true, informed, and enlightened, and a divinely woke spiritual leader, they are going to affect the mind and your worldview, and you will see things as you ought, and you will see your open enemy as you ought. And then comes the war. Then comes the fight. Then comes the fact the status quo as we know it in terms of white supremacy will not continue to exist in the same manner. And that is what they fear with a strong religious leader, that they will expose that.
Yeah, I mean, I look at what they fear too. They, like I said, I don't follow Islam. There's a lot of principles in Islam that was very good, actually.
Yes.
Especially, even in the nation, there's a lot of great principles, and actually, some of the principles are in sync with even with the Bible if you look
yes.
into it, right? So,
Absolutely.
but they are so afraid of Islam. I mean, boy, they
Yes.
get angry about Islam, and it made me look more into it because, like, what is it about Islam that they fear so much? I mean, they petrified of Islam. Like, you look at the sister, Representative Ilhan Omar, they can't stand her.
No, sir. They cannot. They cannot. And the principles, and me being under the teachings of the Nation of Islam, and by the way, we teach from both books, Bible and Holy Quran, but the proper interpretation. One of the things that we know is that the Quran forbids excessive usury.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? That you won't be able to pimp folks with these payday loan places. You won't be able to pimp folks Wall Street in the way that you do if you were living according to those particular principles. For those folks, I know some folks like to drink and so forth, but who are the ones that own a lot of these liquor stores? And where are most of these liquor stores, brother, in the first place? Aren't they proliferating throughout Black communities? Aren't they destroying many of the lives and families and neighborhoods of those communities? Guess what? A lot of that is forbidden in the teachings of the Holy Quran. So these are some of the things I believe they don't want you to come into the knowledge of. The other thing is the Holy Quran teaches this: you're not supposed to be the aggressor. You're not supposed to start fights, but you better believe you're supposed to defend your life. You better believe that the man is supposed to be the maintainer, which is to be the what? The provider and the protector. That means that there is a belief that God gives you the greatest gift, and that is your life. And our gift back to God, and I'm paraphrasing, this is my way of saying it, but I'm saying these are some of the principles that you can extract from it. The greatest gift that God gives us is our very life. And one of the gifts we give back to him is our ability to live a life well, but also to protect and to preserve that life and to use it for this highest good. And those are some of the teachings I believe that they fear. And this whole notion of turn the other cheek when your oppressor is deliberately, systematically oppressing you, murdering you, killing you, raping you, you're not going to come away with an interpretation to turn the other cheek in the face of stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? Under the teachings of the Quran, I think this is what they fear. It exposes the devil.
Exactly. And even talking about forgiveness, I forgive my brother who I haven't read a single scripture that teaches me to forgive someone that's just an open enemy that's trying to kill me. I don't see where that's at. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, it's a lot of love in the Bible. Sure it is. But, I was saying, I'm not going to love evil. And then the Bible isn't telling me I should love Satan. So why should I? Right. No, I'm not doing it. Now, my attitude is this. If you love me, I'm going to love you right back. You hate me, I'm going to hate you times 3. That's just how I act. I'm not on that. Y'all have to, you Black people, you guys are better. And then they'll play that game with you too. Black people are a lot better than us. They're so forgiving. They're this and that. No, we're going to be like you times 10.
Yes.
You don't forgive nothing. You don't forget anything. You go spend trillions of dollars in the Middle East off of one attack.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Well said.
But. Yes, sir. All right, yes, so let's move on to the liberty/resistance. I know our time is cutting out now.
Okay, yes, sir. I'll read it quickly.
To limit Blacks' opportunity to resist, bear arms, rebel, or flee, curtail their freedom of movement, freedom of association, and freedom of expression, deny Blacks the right to vote and participate in government. I'm going to try to run through this real quick now. Okay. They don't want us as Black people arming up. Even to this day, they don't. Yes, we have a Second Amendment right, but they don't want us to have big gun clubs. And if we do, you get all this FBI monitoring and state police monitoring if you get a militia going on in the Black community, because they fear that, hey, and I've had many white people tell me this, the greatest fear that they have of Black folks is the day that Black folks want to have revenge on them for what they done to us. I've had a few white, they told me this behind the scenes. They didn't tell me like out front in front of everybody, but it was honest. And I've had a lot of white folks have been very honest to me behind the scenes, so that's definitely one thing. They're afraid, like you said, of us, any kind of rebellion. It don't have to be any kind of criminal things. You don't have to do rioting or shoot nobody, but rebellion could be like the next election. If the majority of Black people say, We're not getting what we want. We're not voting. Forget that. You're not hurting nobody by not voting, but it is a form of rebellion to them.
Right.
Because you're detaching too many blacks will be detaching themselves to a system because they don't believe that system works for them. So they want to just sit out and hold out.
Yes.
So this is why they're getting so indignant to black folks, right? And getting angry that we're asking for something and we're making, a promise, not a threat, a promise that if you don't give us something, we're sitting at home. What are they looking at as rebellion?
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period. That's exactly right. Well said.
Now you say they want to curtail our freedom of movement. Of course they do. They want to watch our freedom of association. They always want to find out who we talking to, why we talking to them. Do you notice that anytime we have a conversation going, here they come listening or showing up? You can be at your job talking about the weather and they looking at you, or they want to walk over and pay attention. Like they always want it just in them to do it. And no matter where they at, they keep doing it. Like nobody even when they talk, nobody cares. They mind their business. But we talking, they interject. We can have a conversation straight about black people, nobody else. And here they come. Listen. Well, I don't think nobody's asking you. We're not even talking about you. We're talking about this. It could be like black men and black women conversation, literally. You don't even have to interject them. They're going to do that. But they have to do that, Sister Vicki, because that also not only affects your freedom of movement, it's your freedom of expression.
Yes.
Right?
Sir.
And so they have to do that. Now, the last thing is they deny the right to vote. We have a right to vote, but the Republicans is always trying to mess up the voting records, right? They're always trying to shut down places for us to vote, shut down, opportunities to cut us out with voter ID laws, etc.
Yes.
And, to participate in the government, you have to have money to participate. That's how they got the system rigged now, that you have to spend so much money and beg for so much money, you can't participate. So, they don't want us a part of the system, but they don't want us out of the system. Isn't they crazy?
Right. That's exactly right. 100% agree on that. Absolutely. And, look what we found when we talk about the nosy part. Let me say this. Do you know what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said many, many years ago? Of course, we know our dear brother started, the Nation of Islam been around almost 90 years. One of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made it clear that the United States of America is the world's #1 snooper. We've seen that manifest through the Patriot Act, right? We remember when Obama was in office, he upgraded that Patriot Act that was, was so controversial under Bush, even though I think the incipiency of that preceded him, but for sure it was most controversial under Bush, and Obama ended up perpetuating some of the exact same Bush policies as well. But what are we seeing now specific to black people in terms of them being the #1 snoopers? They are expanding or upgrading their the COINTELPRO with what? The BIE, the Black Identity Extremists. When we read that report, what do we find out? This is about the government surveillancing us. This is about them watching folk that are black activists and speaking against injustices. Don't forget that report also said before it was leaked, because they never wanted us to know about it, that it was already sent to thousands of law enforcement agencies throughout the country, that report. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're the #1 snoopers. So they're surveillancing us. We know that under COINTELPRO, which was the goal of the FBI program to destroy black organizations in particular. We know there were a couple of other ones like anti-war organizations and so-called communist organizations, but primarily black nationalist organizations who they were after. It was about snooping. It was about surveillancing. It was about destroying. But what are we seeing now just in terms of the nature of our open enemy? Who are the ones that are calling, whether you are in school and you fell asleep in your college campus? Who are the ones that's always calling, you know what I'm saying, you're trying to get into your own apartment? Who is the ones calling when you're trying to enjoy you and your family and friends at a barbecue? Snooping, nosy. The ones that we always make for the barbecue Becky's of the world. I hate when they use those kind of terms because we kind of diminish and make, by using those terms, I don't think that we're giving the power to what they're actually doing. They're committing fraud. They're filing fraudulent reports. When they're making phone calls, they're initiating something that is not true. And I think that they need to be held accountable for it in the same way they're trying to hold Jussie Smollett accountable for this, the alleged incident that took place with him, even though there are different facts that are coming out now about that as well. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it's so much we could talk about with that. Like I said, each one of these could be a whole topic in itself.
That's true.
And I hate that, I say the time come up on us so quick. That's just the
Yes.
crazy part about it. It's like, man, I say, what a time went.
Okay. Yes.
It just
Yes.
disappeared so
So
fast.
fast.
And then, like I said, we definitely had one more to go when I'm looking at, and like that one in itself could just be talked about. By support all measures, including the use of violence to maximize the profitability of
Ooh.
slavery and which legitimize racism, opposed by the use
Yes.
of violence if necessary, all measures which advocate the abolition of slavery or the diminution of white
Right.
supremacy. Now, of
Supremacy.
course, we know the Civil War jumped off because of that, okay?
Yes.
Because they didn't want to end, the abolition of slavery. But they still use that to this day, Sister Vicki, about the use of violence to maximize the probability of slavery. I mean, this is why they kill us so much with the police. It's because really the murder is to keep black people in line. That's really what it's
That's
all
right.
about. That's why they have
That's right.
this support the police, or this weird allegiance to the police. Like you pass certain
Exactly.
places and say, we support our police. Like no other race does that but them.
But them. And did you notice one of the? How many times have you noticed too, brother? When if a police officer, it was a recent incident where a police officer, I think it was a white female police officer, she was just totally abusing this young black girl, I believe it was, if I haven't mistaken. Do you notice how they're also the only ones that come to aid police officers to apprehend someone? Who does that?
And the police don't tell them get back. The police don't tell them I'm
Right.
gonna put charges on you or nothing. But a black person just come 2 steps toward them, they ready to pull guns and everything. But they don't say nothing to
Absolutely.
somebody white running in and involving themselves with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we know the police and the guess what? That comes out of slavery, right? They were the ones that were responsible for what? They were slave catchers. The Patty Patrol, all of that has its tentacles in that. So it's all connected.
Yeah, yes, it is. And they are, when they try to call black people violent, please. We haven't even touched the surface of violence. Like
Woo!
how they are. Please. I mean, like even if you go through the FBI crime stat report, they are the ones that, like I tell people, just do the research yourself. They focus on 1 or 2 crimes that black people lead. It's usually 2 crimes they'll lead in a little bit more than most. Really, they shouldn't be leading in no crimes, right?
No,
They shouldn't, because
okay.
according to them, they have high IQs and they're the most moral and they don't commit crimes. They don't do anything, and yet they lead in everything else if you look at it except one. And then they act like when it comes to robbery or murder, like they are ranking at 1%, and then black folks just overly represented. No, we like a few steps above them. But what happened to black folks? Black folks been put in a condition to be that way, for one, and you put them in areas where they couldn't thrive, no jobs, etc.
Exactly.
Because the crime in the black community is an economic issue. You get rid of the economic issue, black crime is gone.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And that's proven, like you said, that's proven in every area. That's proven over and over again that it's directly connected. Violence and crime and all this kind of stuff is directly connected to the economic condition of a people. So you're so right.
Yeah, because if you get out of every person that it does well, okay. I never get that episode with that Killer Mike, with the one he had the Cripple Cola episode. Do you remember that episode? Do you see that one?
I don't remember seeing that.
Trigger warning. Check it out on Netflix. They got the episode. I watched the whole thing. They have the
Trigger
episode.
warning?
Yeah, it's called Trigger Warning or something like that with Killer Mike
Okay.
on Netflix. Watch that episode. When he went to them brothers and he said, hey, would you guys like to start a business and it be something legitimate? And he explained to them about, making money. Would you like to do something like that? The first thing the brothers say was, yeah, we'd like to do something like that. And they was excited on their faces. And you see they wanted to. And the brothers put in the work on it to try to, get their company, started. And I said, if you know anything about the streets, most brothers would take that opportunity. They don't want to be on there hustling on the street or even being in gangs shooting each other. The majority of them brothers just want to to provide for their family.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. 100%.
And people say, oh, these guys, they thugs. Listen, that's beefs on the streets happen, but most of them guys just are in a situation, like you said, they put felonies on them when they're kids. can't get jobs, can't do this. You know, like this system is so screwed up, completely screwed up. Like if you go to jail, you want to turn your life around, you can't. That's why
right.
we need reparations so we can help our community by giving them jobs.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because those reparations would help us grow companies in our community. We create jobs, and our brothers and sisters come home out of jail. They ain't got to worry about you. They come work it up for us.
Come on now.
Which they should be. Okay?
Which they should be. That's right. That's right.
So that's a whole nother reason why they don't want us reparations. They don't want us, like I said, to close that wealth gap, but they don't want us to do for ourselves. Because they know many of us will, Sister Vicki, do for ourselves. And what would they do then? Because they want to get violent to get reparations, please. You know, they're gonna pay reparations, Sister Vicki. They don't think they will, but they're gonna pay it. Matter of fact, they gonna come, Sister Vicki. They want to give it to us.
Come on now, come on.
They don't believe it, but it's coming.
I believe that. I believe that 100%.
So, Sister Vicki, how can people get in contact with you in case they say, "Man, this Vicki lady, I want to talk to her a little more. I want to see more of her work." How can they find you?
Yes, well, it would be an honor. You can connect with me. Probably the easiest way is on my website. It is onpurposewithvicky.com. Onpurposewithvicky.com, and there you'll be able to see how you can connect with me on social media. On like Instagram is Vicki X Dillard. On Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. My personal YouTube page and Instagram is Vicki Dillard. And also I'm on my news content show on FlyNubianQueenTV.com, which I'm so excited about, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Again, that's FlyNubianQueenTV.com, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. There I'm talking about politics, religions, and current affairs specific to Black people.
So how long is your show on Fly Nubian Queen? 1 hour or 2 hours?
Yeah, so it's about, sometimes I go over a little bit, but it's at least an hour.
All right. So if you guys want to see Sister Vicki go in, and Sister Vicki be doing some great topics, y'all. She do.
Oh, thank you.
So make sure you go over there, subscribe, and check out, her website, and follow on Instagram. I need you guys to go to Instagram. That's a very important, because we can put little quick things on Instagram. So it takes time to do these YouTube videos and edit and upload and all that. So, Instagram and Twitter is very, very important. That's why I tell you guys here the same thing. You got to follow so you can find out what's going on. So
and shout out to you, Doctor, and shout out to you, Brother Phil, and the Advise Network and your affiliates who are doing such great work. You've been a pioneer in this thing for a long time, and I'm telling you, you're such an inspiration. And thank you so very much.
Oh, well, we, like I said, Sister Vicki, we just trying to serve the people. That's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I say, we want to thank you for joining us this Sunday. Let us know in the comments, what you think about it. Like I said, and you want to send some ideas, you can send an idea to our other email now, news@adviseshow.com. I prefer you guys to send news stories there, different ideas than my email that's philscott@adviseshow.com. But either one, I'll get it. But that email getting too much coming in. Sometimes I miss things. So all news tips, even show ideas, send it to news@adviseshow.com, and we'll look at it. So guys, thank you for joining us. Sister Vicki, appreciate you joining us once again, and see you guys next time.